Alright guys, how's it going? Perfectly Spice, hope you guys doing alright. And we're gonna go over Leo's changes in Season 3. And overall, these are actually not some of my favorite changes. And it kind of coincides with my belief that Namco thinks Leo is good enough, that she's balanced. And that a lot of these changes seem to be geared towards making more of her move list more usable, which is good, but doesn't really address some of her core weaknesses, which is stepping and being slow. And I guess that Namco is really keeping to that philosophy of being keeping her that way because they didn't really address some of those changes. But since Leo's change list is relatively short, I don't see her becoming too much stronger in Season 3, unfortunately. It depends on what some of her new moves really do. Because it stands right now, she might still be more of the same, but with more variety, which is good, but it doesn't exactly make her a better character. It just makes her more, has a larger tool set that you could work with, which can be a good thing. It can be a bad thing depending on what kind of player you're playing, because some people, when they play with a lot of moves, they get like really excited, like, oh, look how many tools I have, and some people are like, that's too many tools for me to worry about using, and I'm going to overcome with my game plan, and that's bad. But that seems to be the general consensus of Leo's change list, is that they want to make more of her move list more usable, and they want to see more strings. And I also think that Namco wants to see people use moves more often, like variety of moves, because when you're Arslan Ash and you're just doing this, and then, you know, eventually this, or whatever, it's great, but it's not always the most entertaining Tekken, and they want people to entertain, so they want to make less used moves, more niche moves stronger. So let's get started. So Leo's first changes are her 2+3 changes behavior when hit. I don't know what this does because I didn't see anything of what this does, but as it stands right now, it does this and knocks it, hurts them and pushes back a little bit. And I believe it does maybe like +4 or 5, something like that. It's like a medium plus frame kind of move. And it doesn't really do much other than when it counter hits, though, it does this, which is escapable with a toe kick, I believe. But that situation is great, but it doesn't really say what it does when it hits. Now, there could be a couple things. If it knocks down, that'll be really nice. Like if it does something similar to this on knockdown, like it just knocks you back like it becomes a wall splat, that's great because this move is safe, and it's also a parry, which means that this will become basically a parry wall splat, but safe, which is really nice. It could do something else. I don't know. It could put Kazi in like crouch or something. It could do this kind of stun like that. It could do like this kind of stun. It could do I doubt it's this, but it could do something like that. But you know, it could be anything. I don't really know where they're going with it. It could be a spin state. It could be anything. So honestly, it depends on what they do. It's a interesting change because it's not really something anyone wanted, because this move is very situational. I tend to use it a lot against predetermined strings, so this is good against geese, back 3-2, and also standing 2 forward 1 and something like that, or moves where punches are gonna be more likely to come out, like in Steve, or like Flicker back 1-1-1, or Brian down for 1-1-1. It's a lot easier to read a punch, so it's a lot easier to use. It's also safe, so why not use it? It's just a little slow. That's the only thing that sucks about it. And then of course when it does parry, it does lead to this situation, which is a pretty good reward. So honestly, we'll just have to see what it does on hit. I'm willing to bet that it is a knockdown, though. That's my guess. Next we got Jinji Dooley. My Chinese quite bad. Change first hit 1-2. Sorry, changed from 14 to 12. Now this is basically the in-game name for Kenkei stance, which is Kenkei is what we called it in Tekken 6, and now they call it this because maybe that's the proper Baji Chuan name for it. I don't know. But basically, they made the first hit weaker on hit, and they made the second hit harder. So the damage is going to be more the same, but there's going to be a lot more emphasis on the second hit to land. They also made it so that the second hit changes when the opponent is mid-air. Now, this is really peculiar because I don't know why they would change something like that. It also means that the recovery time is decreased by 2 frames. I'm starting to think that this might be a new wall carry option for Leo, because maybe if it does like that, maybe it like sends them really high up or like something like that. Maybe it'll be a better wall carry option, something like that. Because clearly they want the fact that, oh, I'm really sorry, I read the move wrong. Ignore that last 10 seconds. I'm reading 3-4. Increase the damage from the second hit, and it causes a wall bound if it hits, and decrease the range of the attack. So basically, they buffed it in the sense that if you attack on it, it is now a wall splat. It only used to happen on counter hit. Let's see if I get this to counter hit. That move is a lot of range, actually. There, so it used to only do that on counter hit, but now it sounds like in general it's just gonna wall bounce. So this means that it's a safe wall bounce, and that if someone tries to press on it, they could get really effed up from really far away. So that could be really good, especially if you're somewhere really out here, where even if it did counter hit like it is now, it's not going to wall splat. So if it was a wall bounce, that makes Leo's wall bounce actually really nice, because that means that if someone tries to press on 1, they could get counter hit by the 2. And that could make the situation not so good. I think this is actually unsafe now. I think they changed in Season 2. Actually, what I thought was it's the opposite. That's true, actually. They actually made this safe on block. I forgot whether they changed it from safe to unsafe, or from safe to, unsafe to safe, and it was the opposite. And you might be thinking, wow, Pepper Brief, I can't believe you don't know that about Leo as one of your main characters. Well, it's actually because nobody fucking uses this move, because nobody fucking uses it, because you have this shit, and this shit. Like, why would you ever want to use this when you have those two? And now I kind of see why they would want to use it, because now it wall bounces from really far away, which is a really good option, actually. Now, the thing is, I don't know if they are going to make it wall bounce on natural hit, because that sounds like that would be a little stupid. See, I don't even know if they would make it wall bounce on natural hit, because that sounds like extraordinarily dumb if they made this wall bounce on natural hit, because it's kind of like hit confirmable too. If they made that wall bounce on second hit, that might be actually kind of stupid. But I think maybe they just meant that the second hit hits by itself, then it will wall bounce regardless if it's counter hit or not, which is really strong nonetheless. So this is going to help Leo a lot in the mid-space game with her King K1-2. I mean, with her King K stance, and it's not really going to affect too much of the wall, because King K2 at the wall would have launched anyways. But this is definitely going to make people hesitate more on trying to attack after King K1, which is going to open up King K1 down as well as King K1-2 delayed is going to be a lot stronger. And because it's already really rare move to use, because I definitely use it against people every now and then just to throw off their timing, because everyone expects King K to be a single hit move, and then when you got a delayable string in there, it gets kind of awkward. So having King K1-2 being more usable is definitely going to make people more familiar with the string, and is definitely going to make it a lot more used, which is, it sounds like it's still going to be a safe move, and it's going to have a greater reward than the second hit. If they make it natural, that's actually kind of stupid, but this is already going to be kind of hard to hit anyways, unless they press. But having a natural non-counter hit wall bounce is pretty strong buff, especially for mid-screen, I want to say. It gives Leo more wall presence, or wall threat, from mid-screen, or close to the wall. Now we're going with King K3-4. They made the first hit weaker on hit. They made it from 17 to 13. The second hit is from 20 to 27. And the opponent behavior changed while in mid-air. Shorten the recovery time after the move hits by 2 frames. Now this basically means 2 things. One, basically they don't want you to use King K3 by itself, because kind of a strategy that I've used is that, why is there even a first hit if it launches anyways? Like, why even bother doing the second hit, since the first hit is a little, well, actually, reverse that. The first hit is weaker damage, and it's more negative on block, and the second hit is more damage, and it's negative 12 on block. So why even bother doing the first hit? Well, I've used the first hit of King K3-4 to throw off opponent's timing, because there is a long block stun for King K3-4. So if the opponent is expecting a long move, and you do that, their punish timing has to be changed, basically. So it can throw off opponent's punish timing a little bit, which is a little small thing to add to your gameplay, but it can be effective. Now, they're basically making it so they're punishing you for using the first hit by itself. I don't know why, but they want to emphasize that you should finish the second hit. Now, it should be around the same damage. Let me just calculate it here. As it stands right now, it's 31. So let me see. Okay, so based on my math, the damage increase will be from 30, with scaling, of course, is going to be from 31 to about 35, maybe 34, depending on rounding and whatnot, which is not bad. It already did a decent amount of damage as a launcher, so it doesn't really change too much in terms of damage output. However, they did say that they've changed the behavior when hit mid-air, and I'm not really sure what they could mean with that. I don't like it when Namco does these ambiguous balance changes. They do the same thing in Heroes of the Storm, honestly, where the opponent doesn't really tell you how exactly they changed it, but it definitely feels like they did something with it to make it better. I don't know if that means the opponent gets launched higher or they get screwed or something like that. We'll have to honestly just see how it affects combos. Now, the one thing that I do know what's going to happen is that they shorten the recovery time after the move hits by 2 frames, which means that after this, actually, you can't do forward 2 because there's too much lag from recovery. So by decreasing the recovery frames, it actually makes it so that you'll probably be able to do some kind of additional follow-up besides back 1-4, because as it stands right now, I believe jab and back 1-4 are the only 2 things that will hit here. And even then, because of the pushback, that will happen. So most people, after they do this, you know, they will immediately just do back 1-4. And the fact that the recovery is better now, they might change some of the options afterwards. I mean, the combo options afterwards. Now, they also added a new move, which is King K 1+2. Now, I have no idea what this could be, once again, because they didn't say what it could be. Now, this could be a number of things, and if it were up to me and I was a Tekken 7 developer and I would like, what can we add to King K stance to make it more threatening? Because as it stands right now, the stance is good. It's kind of like, in my opinion, a better switch stance than Josie, because it has more variety in tools and has better reward, even if it doesn't counter hit. That I would make something additional to force the opponent for just standing there, because this as it stands right now, if you just block mid and like don't worry about getting hit by this, then there isn't really too much to be concerned about with this move, especially if you do that half real option select where you do quarter circle back to basically beat out any matched options, because this is slower than this. So you'll block the low, and by the time you finish quarter circle back, you will block the mid and will with the high as well. But if they make it so that King K 1+2 is some kind of move that punishes you for blocking, like let's say it's either very safe or advantageous mid or something like that, then this is going to incentivize either people to duck if it's a high, or trying to attack back because they don't want to get put in plus frames. It could be really annoying, let's say, if imagine the scenario where King K 1+2 is a plus frame, high or mid or whatever. Then let's say we do King K 1+2, and then they block, and they're in block stun, they don't want to do anything, and do forward 4 again, and they're in block stun again, and you can basically keep mixing it up until like they're an infinite amount of plus frames. So basically, I could theorize it as even more proper and deadly form of forward 4 King K cancels, where you will basically constantly be put in plus frames, and eventually they're going to have to fight back, and they might get King K 2. If it's a high, that means it'll incentivize them to duck more, which means that King K 3-4 is going to become more of a viable option, but that also means that you're risking something that can be ducked, which is unfortunate. If it's a mid, maybe it's very slow, so you have to press attack it, which means it incentivizes people to attack, which means that King K 2 is going to be viable as well. For some reason in my head, when I saw the fact that they added a King K 1+2, I thought it could be a Power Crush, but I'm thinking, like, why would you need a Power Crush when you have King K 2? So I don't know. I don't think they would do that. It could have something else. It could have, like, wall utility as well. It could be the new move that they showed in the trailer. It could be that Bach 2 looking move. It could be, like, that move that caused the flip over stun. So instead of doing, like, this, you would do this into that new move, and it would cause that flip over stun. So it depends, honestly, on what it is. It could be that, which I don't know what it would do in neutral. Maybe it's it kind of looks like it could be like a start high crush launcher. So if they try to jab back, maybe you could catch them, kind of like Julia's, I believe Julia's up 4-2, something like that. Foolish down 4-2, something like that. So quarter circle 2, one of the moves, something like a high crush launcher. It could be like that. It could be just a move that flop stuns them, in the way that if you get hit by this, it flop stuns you like that. unnatural, I don't know. But that is one of the new moves they showed. The only thing that's different is that that new move might actually be Bach 1-2 replace, and we're going to talk about that in a second. So I don't know what it's going to do. I'm going to hope it's a plus frame move, because that would add a lot of threat to the stance and make it a lot more annoying to deal with, and incentivize people to try and attack against it more, or incentivize to duck against it more, or what have you. I think that would complete the stance and give it more threat, but we'll have to just see on Monday on what it is. Now we have Fobu, which is box stance. 1-2. Change the opponent behavior when the first hit lands if the second input has already been inputted. Now this is a lot similar to, let's say, look, down back 4 doesn't trip down, but if I finish the string, it will knock down even though it's the exact same attack. So basically this tells me that the second hit of Bach 1-2 is going to do something different when you've actually finished the move, as opposed to Bach 1 by itself. So Bach 1 by itself is actually a really great move, and if you're playing Leo, you should be using Bach 1 because it's a 13 frame mid that high crushes because look where it's coming from, at least high crushes initially, and it's like -2 on block and +9 on hit, so it's really, really strong. You should be using it anyways. But if you finish it, that like punch you up in the stomach kind of animation is going to be replaced by something else. I don't know what it could be. It could be the knockdown that we saw. It could be that Bach 2 looking move that I just talked about, the new move from the trailer. So it could cause this flop stun from standing, which is really cool. Or it could just knock down, which would be stupid because if this knocked down by itself, that would mean that the box stance has a 13 frame, mostly safe knockdown move, wall splat, which would be really good because this move is actually, I believe, -14, but it has a good amount of pushback, and it's also niche knowledge, so not a lot of people are prepared to -14 launch it. It could be -14 or 13. I'm leaning on 14 though. My frame data is probably wrong on that. Sure, someone will correct me in the comments. But if it is the natural knockdown, like kind of like Devil Jin's like up forward 4 into like Demon Steel Pedal, or 4-4-3 Bach into that, if it's like that from standing, that's actually really absurd. I don't know what else it could do, so we'll just have to see what happens. I know for sure though when it hits grounded, it's probably going to give that stun state. So if people are doing combos, like, is this going to cause that stun state? That's the question. Or is it the same stun state standing, but it only changes the grounded state? It says that it changed the behavior when hit. It didn't specify when, but we'll have to see what happens there. It didn't say mid-air hit or grounded hit, so I'm going to have to assume that they mean in neutral. So that change is good if it's the wall splat that I'm thinking of, or the knockdown in general, because Leo has 20 billion knockdowns. Why not give her another one? Down by 2-2. Change the frame data upon hit from +5 to +8. Change frame data from block from -7 to -4. This is an overall good change. This kind of makes it a competing string with back to 1 and back to 1+2, which is already a really good string because this is like, I believe, -5-ish on block, and this is -11, and it's a high damage move when it hits. Also, it's counter launcher. And because it makes it a competing move with that, basically means that this will be a lot more usable. After you hit, basically you will get, it's natural as well, you'll get a free mix-up very similar to back to 1+2 actually, which is really nice. Actually it's the exact same mix-up because it's full crouch +8. And also when it's blocked, it's -4, so you'll have more chance to parry, you'll have more chance to sidewalk, sidestep, especially if fighting against a slow character. You might be able to dick jab even, so it opens up more options for Leo, and it's just it's a raw, straight and simple buff. It's making the string better because Namco felt this wasn't good enough, basically. So that's nice. Not really much to talk about there. Now, there's an interesting change coming up here. Back for 1+2 got a bunch of changes, and I'm kind of sad about one of them, but it looks like it got better overall. So, first hit, changed from 15 to 13 to increase the distance between the character and the opponent when the move hits. So as you can see how much like it pushes back so far when it hits, looks like they're going to leave the opponent closer. And the second hit, the move when they'll chain together, changed from 21 to 20, changed the frame advantage from block from -9 to -12, sad face. Enable the move to cause a wall bounce if it hits. The move's second hit can be cancelled with back 4, 1+2 down. So, this means to me a couple things. One, I don't know what chain together means exactly. My first thought is that it's natural combo, which is stupid. If this is a natural combo, because this is not that hard. This is like, you can kind of semi-confirm it. It's not natural now, but if I counter hit, you can kind of semi-confirm it, especially if you hear like, oh, I got hit or whatever. But if it's natural, I mean, I know it does a lot of damage right now because they're going to nerf the damage and whatnot. But that's going to be really crazy if it's a natural hit wall bounce. By the way, if they're saying wall bound is wall bounce, that means that she's going to have 3 wall bounces, which is like, wow, oh my god. She's like Julia, even better than Julia. But anyway, so by making this natural, they're basically going to add another threat to the wall with Leo. I believe this is actually faster than down back 1+2. Let me check that real. Yeah, actually, down back 1+2 is a 21 frame attack, and back 4 is an 18 frame attack, which makes that more. Basically, it's going to be scarier to try and interrupt Leo at the wall because fighting against experienced players in the matchup, when I knock someone down at the wall after, you know, a wall combo or whatever, they might get up mashing because by the time I do this move, it's decently good idea to interrupt me because even though I'm an advantage, it is a really slow move, so I could interrupt by wall 74 or dick jab or whatnot. So even though this is probably Leo's best wall splat mid because it's a hit confirmable high damage wall splat that's only -12, this will start to become a viable option as well because it's possibly natural now. So that's going to be really, really, really scary as well, especially since there's a decent amount of delay to it. So if they made it like really hit confirmable, that's even more threat to Leo's wall game, more dangerousness. So that's going to be really good. It is unsafe now, which is kind of like, I feel bad because this move has been an anomaly for a long time since it's a safe shoulder, which is really weird. I think it's the only one like that in the game. But now that it's unsafe, it's like, okay, well, you know, it is what it is. At least it's not launch punishable. It also wall bounces as well, so once again with King K1-2, just like that, it's going to create a threat situation in the mid-range, so something like if you're fishing for a move like that in the open, this could be one of the better mids to use because it could potentially wall bounce from really far away. Going off with these changes so far, it really sounds like they're really double downing on Leo's wall game, since she's known for having one of the best wall games in Tekken, and looks like they're doubling down on it. They're like, no, we're not going to give you more better neutral game tools. We're just going to, poking tools. We're going to give you even better wall stuff. And judging from the fact that they gave her, looks like 2 wall bounces, this means to me that basically Leia's going to be threatening if you're relatively close to the wall at all. She's going to be like Geese, where it's like, she can wall bounce you from pretty much almost any range, which is going to be really scary, especially if back 4 1+2 is a natural combo. The other meaning with chain together could be that there's no delay, which is kind of makes it fair, but it also means that you have to counter confirm it only because right now it's only a counter combo. But if it really is now chained together, it means that it is natural combo, means that that's pretty dumb. Although a fair nerf, since the wall bounces now, would be to just basically say, oh no, it's only counter confirmable and you can't delay it anymore. Although that seems like too harsh from a nerf to change what it does, because actually that sounds like right now it's actually a better version because they're making it do less damage and it already wall splats now and it's safe. So by making it unsafe and wall bounce, that seems like already a fair enough trade to making it unsafe in exchange for giving it wall bounce. I'm hoping it's a natural combo. I'm hoping that it's version A, where it's a natural combo and it's still delayable and it wall bounces, as opposed to version B, where it's not delayable and it's still a counter combo, which is, I don't want that. So that's why I think they're doing version A though. I'm gonna put my money on version A. So interesting change. Oh, and of course the last change to that move is that the second move can be cancelled into box stance, which is gonna be pretty cool. I'm pretty sure that's what they want because the other down 1+2 input or 1+2 down is box stance from up forward 2. Also 1 down from King K. And I think back 3, 1 down. Yes, anything down input with Leo usually goes into box stance. So if opponent is like, oh, I'm really scared to block that mid, and then here comes box stance, that could be really interesting. Problem with that I see in the long run is a lot of box stance's moves are kind of slow. So this could be a potential problem because people could possibly react to the box stance and F you up for it. Although I suppose that is why the power crush is there. But if someone does like a high crush low, that could be really unfortunate. But at the same time, if they're looking for that, maybe like, just finishing the string would be good enough. But in a long set, especially, I could see that if someone's like really looking for that low, they're not going to press anything. Then it could be really not as good as it could be. Now, if it could cancel into Kid-K stance, that would be super good. But as it stands right now, I will take the box stance move. Especially since if they're so ready for the second hit. But I suppose if you've been canceling back 4 into box stance too much, you got to be a little bit careful about that, because they'll see that they're basically going to make a read that you're going to cancel, and they'll just punish you for it, one way or the other. Because otherwise you could just finish it. But extremely sharp players are definitely going to be like, okay, let me just stand here and I'm going to look for that box stance. If I see box stance, I'm going to give him a down forward 2 or something like that. Although I suppose you could just delay the first hit by a lot, or just do the first hit by itself and hell sweep him or something. I don't know. But enough about theoretical. So down 3+4, increase the move's backwards movement. Odd change. It basically means that her generic down 4 either has more pushback or makes Leo move back more. I don't really know what this change is doing, actually. It's kind of an odd one, honestly. It either pushes the opponent farther away or it doesn't. Increases the move's backwards movement down 3+4. They don't mean crouch 3+4, because that's that. I think they mean this. Odd change. I'll have to see what that really does when it gets there, because, okay, increasing the pushback of this on hit could space out Leo better, and that could increase her mid-range game, because honestly, Leo is better as a range 1 to 2 character, and if this pushes back more on him, that could be really good at getting people off of you and kind of like could be getting to Leo's comfortable range better, but we'll have to see where that goes. Up forward 2 down, mixes an issue where the move could not be input in advance when shifting to full. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Basically, there was kind of like the input delay bug, where basically if you tried to press down here, you couldn't do it from the beginning. You have to press it while it's in the middle. Like if I do up forward 2 down right now, like it's not inputting, but basically it's saying that if you input down early in the input, it will allow you to go into box stance, whereas you have to press down while she's spinning in the air, which is a little bit late. So basically they're increasing the input window of the box stance, which is going to make it a lot easier to use. It's a quality of life change. Alright, so that's all of Leo's changes. They're definitely doubling down on the wall game buffs. They really want to make her a wall character. And on the Infinite stage, a lot of this stuff isn't really going to matter, unfortunately. So they're going to really trying to emphasize that she's like a wall character. And if you want to counterpick Leo, you pick Infinite stage, because none of these changes really matter if it's a wall-less stage. Except maybe 2+3, depending on what it does. And I guess like down back 2-2, but and box stance 1-2. But overall, they are all mostly buffs, but it depends on what King K 1-2 does and what Bach 1-2 does on hit. We don't know what they do now, so we'll have to see. Yeah, they really want us to use Leo's wall game, and I think we already knew that as Leo players. We already knew that you're supposed to use her walls because that's what she's godlike at. And if there's people that are stepping you or poking you because Leo is slow and she sucks at tracking, well, tough luck. Kill them with walls. So really going hard on the wall stuff. But that being said, that's Leo. She got, I guess, minor buffs, I want to see. I guess it depends how strong the wall bounce stuff it really is and how strong that new move stuff is to really determine how good it is. And it has to be really cheap, in my opinion, for it to matter a lot. Otherwise, she's going to stay more or less in the same tier position, so to speak, which is good. I definitely give her like an A-, B+ kind of character. But these changes don't really affect her weaknesses, which is unfortunate. But at least they made her strengths even stronger. And I definitely want us to use King K 1-2 a lot, because it's the second time they buffed it in 2 patches. So we'll have to see. Let's get on to Law. See you guys in a bit.